Welcome to the Exiteers Podcast.
Caroline, welcome to the Exiteers Podcast. Delighted to have you here this morning, mate.
Thank you, Rachel. I really can't wait. I always love chatting with you.
Well, and that's the approach. So for me, I just want us to have a bit of a conversation about, your kind of experience from a work perspective, and then talk us a little bit through your, what's happened with Carruthers and Jackson. But first things first, I know you well, so do you want to do a bit of an intro and tell the world? They're all listening to this one.
Really, really weird doing this for you, but just for you. Caroline Carruthers, I was the first female chief data officer in the UK. So before that, I'd been a CIO, CTO. Now I'm just collecting chief titles for a laugh. So, you never know where it's going to go. Ended up writing the first book ever for chief data officers, which all of this was by happenstance. Then I created something called the Summer School. And finally, because of a demand, that's when I created C&J, Carruthers and Jackson, the company. So that part is where I am now.
Yep.
By nature, I'm really just a problem solver. So it's just solving the next problem. And as you get older, you find more interesting, chaotic, manic problems to deal with. And that's on the side. I've got a husband, son. They keep me as busy as anything.
Yeah.
And it's me in a nutshell.
And for our listeners, we've known each other for a reasonable period of time. And it's a story that I always like sharing because many moons ago, I don't think we'll disclose how many. We don't want to be aging ourselves out there.
I age myself enough anyway.
Yeah. So many moons ago, you gave me my first CIO role. And it's funny because there's plenty of bosses of mine over the years who would not be sitting on the sofa having a conversation with me today.
Funny enough, I've never ran across any of them either.
They don't exist, Rick. I mean, they're all buried under patios somewhere. Think Brookside. We've known each other for a reasonable period of time.
It has been fun.
And it has been fun. It would be great to dig in a little bit to Carruthers and Jackson and talk about, what the motivation was to build the business and how that journey kind of unfolded.
It was a little bit of a weird one. So like I said, that's why I led in with the books. So did the books, did the summer school, which is about sharing education. And I was working as a full-time chief data officer at the time.
Yep.
And I didn't really have ambitions to set my own business up. But it was about, again, solving the next problem. So we didn't have anything to professionalise what chief data officers did. So I wrote the first book. Then we didn't have anything that really brought that to life. So I created Summer School, which was educational. And it was free. So we had sponsors based to do it. And it was people coming to me going, can you help us do the stuff that you talk about in the books?
Yep.
And that's where the business came from. So it was that pull, that need of, we had people to service and people to help.
But you'd kind of created, whether directly or indirectly, you created the demand, you created the market by writing that first book.
Exactly. And I find it fascinating because I know a lot of people are talking about writing books helps with the business and everything. For me, it kind of polarized into, I didn't intend to do this. It was only about 2 or 3 years after starting C&J that somebody said, what's it like being an entrepreneur? And it was genuinely, it crystallized my mind the first time that I'd ever even thought that I was.
Yeah, that's amazing because, of course, we'd worked together for years. But there's always been, any problem solver for me is an entrepreneur. So I'd always known that side of you, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though we weren't particularly working in that environment. That's interesting. I don't think I knew that.
But it's fascinating. It gave me a bit of an insight into sometimes knowing yourself and how other people perceive you.
Yeah.
Because I would argue that I'm not a risk taker, and everybody I say that to laughs in my face.
I mean, I've had to stifle the laughter, mate.
So it depends on, for me, I'm not setting a business up, I'm solving a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not taking a risk because I've thought through all the permutations and I know what my tolerance is and I know what could possibly go wrong. So it's not really a risk at that point in time. So that it's a different way of thinking about it.
It is a weighted risk, isn't it? Or you're backing yourself, however you look at these things.
And I think that helps.
Yeah, for sure. And how many books now have been written?
Technically 4. One of those are to first and second edition.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, well, it keeps me occupied.
It keeps you, very occupied. It's funny because we've talked about the fact that we are almost certainly going to be joining forces to write one during the course of this year. And I can't tell you how happy I am to be writing one with somebody who actually knows what they're doing, because I think me and AI would not make for an exciting book.
I have read quite a few AI-generated books, obviously, and they don't really do it for me. So
no, I don't think they'll do it for any. To be honest,
If you're listening to this podcast, you are either a massive fan of mine, and that's fine. Alternatively, you may well be working towards an exit. A lot of the businesses we work with are 5 years out, and there are a number of activities that need to happen to make sure that a founder is extracted from the day-to-day, the processes are in place, there is a robust strategy, and there's repeatable revenue. And we spend all of our time working with founders to make sure this is a reality. The gap between where you are today and being exit ready is where most founders leave a serious amount of cash on the table. If you want to have a chat about planning for an exit, drop me a message at thegrafter.com and mention the Connor brothers, and then I'm going to know that you are an Exiteers Pod listener. After all of that hard work you've put in, we want to make damn sure that your exit is one worth talking about.
So you've talked a bit about the books and summer school. I mean, summer school is such a fucking great concept. And how many people have been through summer school now?
Well, we've done 8 years at 400 every year.
Wow, unbelievable.
So we normally have over 1,000 people apply. We accept 400. My team always seem to sneak on 20 or 30 when I'm not looking. So every year it's probably about 430, and it's just, honestly, it's the best part of my year. I feel like I learn so much.
Yep.
It's 2 hours commitment from them. They get written material. We have a big graduation. We've done graduations in London and LA and Chicago and New York. It depends on, what the need is and where the base of people are coming from for summer school. But it's just fun, and it's a brilliant way to engage, and it's the community part of it. The community part of it, every single year has their own way of connecting, and literally...
So you create the environment and they choose how they want to run that. Oh, I love that.
Basically, but you should see the messages they generate, and still from like 7 or 8 years ago, they're still talking, I still see the messages being generated, and it gives them something to lean on.
Yeah, it's an incredible resource. And I'm guessing with the advent of AI and how, the market and the world is changing, that summer school must be changing pretty rapidly from a kind of learning experience.
It has to be, because we have to keep up. I mean, we are talking to the people who are going to be the next generation of chief data officers here. We want them to make sure they understand all the different aspects of the role. So it has to be, it's a business role, it's a leadership role, it's about data. You have to take AI into this. But if we're going to touch upon AI, I'm always going to use the excuse to try and promote AI as the thought of augmented intelligence, not artificial intelligence, because we should be using it to make our lives better.
Yeah, well, we hold exactly the same view. I mean, the grafter community, the AI chat is by far the liveliest chat we've got going. But I think anybody who's using it in even semi-earnest is wising up to the fact it makes them super productive. It doesn't replace the need for them.
No, in any way, shape or form. It is literally about how does it reduce some of my decision-making time? How does it do some of the research that I want to do? I am still in the driving seat. I'm still the one making the decisions. But anybody who's not doing that is wasting a valuable resource.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this will make you laugh, but I actually built an app last weekend, and I can tell you that I have never done that before. And even more shocking, the bloody thing works. So, but the productivity around even starting to leverage some of that and, get ahead of my week, where are the duplications on meetings and, prep me for sessions I've got. It's a fucking game changer.
I'm absolutely convinced that we have, if not all, most of the technology we need to do everything. The only thing that's limiting us now is our imagination. So we can't think through the end part of the problem.
Yeah.
And in all of the work that we do, and when I'm talking to different people, you can take them so far in your thinking, but then you need to move them forward so they can think a bit further, and then you stretch out that art of the possible.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so talk to us a bit about Carruthers and Jackson. So the business was kind of born out of a need that you had indirectly, directly, or was surprised had been generated through the books and through summer school.
It was. And it was brilliant to have that kind of start to a company. Anybody would, we were gifted when we managed to start. And it was also on the back of, I was in a full-time role at the time, wasn't particularly enjoying it. So personally, it just made sense to take the jump and go for it. We had probably the easiest start to a company I think anyone's ever had because we had such a demand and it was keeping pace with that actually I think we were a little bit lazy in setting it up.
Interesting.
COVID hit and a lot of our clients were international, which for an embryonic company at the time was unusual. COVID hit and we lost every single contract overnight. Every one.
Jesus.
There was 24 hours and every phone call, every message I got was, we can't do this, and everything got cancelled.
I mean, it's I talked to a lot of founders and who were impacted very strongly either way during COVID. There's no middle ground.
No, it
was either feast or famine. Yeah,
completely and totally. But I think, it's at the time it was horrific. At the time you're literally sitting there going, how the hell do I pay the mortgage? How do I look after people? What am I going to do?
Yep.
But what we built, I'm so much prouder of. It's so much more robust. It's something I'm genuinely really happy to be part of because we had to go back to basics and went, this is not working. We can't be lazy anymore. We have to really think through these things. And actually now, this is another, 5 or 6 years on, we're so much stronger. We're so much better. The business has just continued to grow. I think we had something like 40-50% growth last year.
Wow, unbelievable. And that resilience, so, going through COVID, the whole country's on bloody lockdown. We've got Bojo showing up with his crazy hairdos on calls, on a regular basis. And those challenges with the business, you must have had to have dug deep.
It wasn't easy. And I actually think I hadn't realised how much of an extrovert I was at the time.
Yeah.
and I do think I genuinely was blessed. We had a nice house, big garden, in the countryside. I had it so much easier than a lot of other people.
Yeah.
It was really interesting for me because my husband is incredibly introverted and he loved it. Just having me and our son and not having to talk to anybody else, I actually thought he was like a pig in shit.
It's funny that because my wife Yvonne is exactly the same.
Yeah.
For her, she would relish another lockdown. For me, it really did my head in because for me, I need a big fucking audience regularly.
I need energy. I get my energy from being around other people. And my son is probably more like me. So we were like clamoring to talk to him and he was just like, I'll put down my shirt.
Everyone's at home. It's a nice chill out.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. And so I did a lot more of, being outside, for me, that I found one of my coping mechanisms is just to get outside. And it's the best advice. Whenever I feel stressed now, just walk outside. Doesn't matter if it's raining, doesn't matter if it's windy, doesn't matter what it is. When I really feel like I'm pushing my limit, even just 5 minutes outside.
Yeah, solid advice. I think it's the space, it's the freedom, it's the expansiveness, but also, I do exactly the same. For me, that ability just to create some actual space, it does wonders. Personally, I'd prefer it in 30 degrees, but we can't have it all.
Don't get me wrong. Sounds really awful. It was something positive about COVID, but during the time period, we at least had nice weather.
That's true. That is true. That summer was a cracker.
It was like, all right, we've got one good silver lining here on all this. Yeah, at least when I went outside, it was sunny.
That's true. So you came back post-COVID, and it was a kind of rebuild, re-energize, recut what you were doing.
Basically, yeah, focusing more on our purpose.
Yep, nice. And during that next stage is when we picked up again, and you were going through a partial exit of Carruthers and Jackson.
Yep.
Are you whatever you're comfortable sharing around that process?
Well, I think it's fair to share that I gave you a call. We've been mates for ages, and I knew
you can say that I'm a fucking legend, mate. I'm not going to
totally.
I am not going to be offended by that on here at all.
You know, I think that anyway.
Oh, I do.
But I ended up reaching out because we'd gone through a process which, quite frankly, was a bit of an abortion.
Yep.
So, again, we've had these weird experiences with having a business, and I know other founders have been through very similar things, where you're almost courted by other businesses wanting to buy you or partially buy you, and especially because of the books, we were seen as thought leaders in our field, so that we had people interested in buying us so they could get into the thought leadership side of things.
Well, you are a thought leader, by the way, mate. You weren't seen as, but yeah.
Yeah, that's still... I'm waiting for somebody to find me out, don't I?
We all feel like that. That's you just need to put that aside.
To move on and carry on. But so it was being able to sort of have people chase you, which felt really nice.
Yep.
But then we got to a point of it felt real. We had big companies trying to buy us. We paid a lot of money to advisors, which, with hindsight, probably didn't give me the world's best advice.
Yep.
And then ended up being ghosted or things going wrong, and actually ended up spending a lot of money through a process that I hadn't actually wanted in the first place. I felt like I'd just been carried along.
Yep.
And I remember ringing you because I'd seen some stuff that you'd posted and going, oh, I know, Rach, I trust you. Having a phone call, kind of laying it on the line of just, it almost felt a bit cathartic about going, this is the crap that's been going on. This is the stuff. And having somebody I trust break it down for me, because remember, that was how it started.
Totally. And I think the bit that always surprises me, the ghosting thing, I think is fucking criminal. I mean, we're not at play school, we're not teenagers who are dating and then suddenly decided you don't want to go out, to the bloody cinema with them. I mean, but I heard a similar story yesterday on the ghosting. I cannot comprehend it.
I would never do that. I mean, I've had some really hard conversations with people going, you know what, I'm not interested. I know I said something, something has changed. Move on.
Yep.
Be adult about it.
But that's honesty and integrity. I think that the ghosting bit is, it's just it's a pussy move.
It's childish. It's absolutely childish. And it's cowardice.
Yeah.
In a lot of places. But then I think I've said this, and I say this to everybody, one of the best things that you helped me do was figure out what I actually wanted through the whole process.
Yeah.
And you didn't just go, it's all right, Carol, I'm going to wave a wand to make it better. I mean, it'd be nice if you did, but, even...
I mean, I'm good. I'm not that good, mate.
Damn it, you need to work on that.
I'll buy a wand.
Actually, now I've got a picture of you in a fairy godmother outfit. That'll be hilarious. Tell everyone.
I think we should do with that, actually. Well, when we get this podcast out there, we need me in a fairy godmother outfit with a wand. So no pressure at all.
Oh, I think we can do that, definitely. But I think taking the time to take a step back and go, actually, was I interested in Exit? Was I interested? Why was I doing this in the first place? And it felt a little bit like taking a breath and going slow so I could go fast. And this is why we talk about, the partial exit, because I ended up still wanting to be part of this. This was my baby. It still feels like my baby. It's something that I want to be part of and I want to help nurture. But I needed other things to help me grow it the way that I wanted to grow it, hence the partial side of it.
And it's unusual, I think, that component. But, for people who are listening, I think it's really important. Exits come in every shape and flavour. And, people inherently think it has to be everything, and the reality is it absolutely doesn't. And your want and need was around, a larger entity injecting some cash in to help with the growth, but you still wanted to, be at the table driving it.
But it was being open to, it wasn't just the money, it was about the infrastructure, it was about the experience, it was about access to different resources, all of those kind of things. But if I hadn't got in with a really clear idea of what my red lines were, what I actually wanted to get out of the process, what I was prepared to negotiate on, I don't think it would have been as smooth as it was.
No, and I think that is the bit. And we spend so much time working with founders. I'd naturally describe it as probably 70% technical and business, 30% emotional and personal. Because if you just do the financial, I mean, you might as well call a corporate finance, because I'm sure they can knock you off a better spreadsheet. But the reality is, for me, it has to be about what does the entrepreneur and the founder actually want from doing the transaction.
But you know it because you've been through the process.
Yeah.
The other people that I know that you work with have been through the process. I honestly don't think you could describe it to someone who hasn't.
No, and I think it's a real balancing act, this one, because you're describing something that only a very small percentage of us are ever going to go through.
Yeah.
And there's a real preconception that it is first world problems because you've sold a business, you've trousered loads of cash, so I've got fuck all sympathy. But the reality is it is an emotional roller coaster.
It's a massive emotional roller coaster. And the people that think like that, and I completely understand why they do.
Me too.
They haven't seen the 20-hour days, 7 days a week, the risks you take, the struggles that you go through, the toll it takes on people around you.
Of course.
I'm not saying there's not a big upside. I mean, woohoo.
Yep.
But you've paid for it in other ways. And I think that emotional side is something that you really need to take account of.
I totally agree. And I mean, it is the most prevalent aspect of any conversation we have with a founder. It has to be.
It has to be.
Because there are plenty of companies that can help you prepare for an exit and go through the process to a lesser or greater extent. But I think excluding that emotional and personal, what am I really doing this for, is, it ends up with a substandard result.
I think so, because you're missing something.
Yeah. The you element, the personal. Yeah. So you are a number of years now through the process since the partial exit. You are loving life, enjoying what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Can you talk to us about how the role changed post partial exit?
Well, I thought it was interesting, and I think anybody who goes through any kind of exit or partial exit will say, you think you know what you're getting into, you probably don't.
Of course.
You've got this whole teething, storming, foaming, norming, whatever you want to call it, aspect to get through. I think being as open as you can and knowing what you're getting is, so you've got to think flexibly and be agile in what you do, but hold on to those. I did this because of this, and this was the stuff I wasn't prepared to compromise on. And you've got your two ends of the scale that you can be flexible within, and give yourself time. Because I think it takes, I would say, at least 2 years to kind of settle into any kind of new normal in these circumstances. Be open. But I'm really proud of what we have built since then.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it's been easy. It's been very interesting at times. But I think there's give and take on both sides. And I think that's made the process much easier.
And I think there has to be, because, there's suddenly other people as part of the decision-making and the strategy, not just the execution, and it's change. And, for most of us, for those of us who like change, we have a tendency to love it if we're driving it, and we have a tendency to be less keen if others are driving it.
There's a level of chaos that you enjoy when you are part of the centre of the chaos.
Yeah.
Feeling the aspect of the chaos maybe isn't quite as interesting.
No, strangely, that wouldn't be quite as appealing. And what's the plan for the business at the minute? I mean, world domination, obviously.
Well, naturally. I mean, I would claim we're the best in our field. We are the best in our field.
Yes, claim away.
It's absolutely, when it comes to strategic data consultancy, people come to me. For me, I think we went through a period of realising that I am really good at the outward-facing things.
Yep.
I'm really good at being the chief exec. I'm really good at the big thought leadership pieces. I'm at, big strategic thinking. I find running the business, the day-to-day aspects, so physically boring, I would want to cut my own eyes out.
Yep.
And I just, knowing that about myself, we've now put in place an MD who does the running of the business. And I have to say, he does an absolutely fantastic job. Bless him. I know he puts up with the kind of crap that goes on through my mind and manages to make sense of it and can carry it through on a day-to-day basis. And that felt so freeing. And I think we've settled into those roles. He's been in place about a year now. So I think we've settled into those roles. And I feel a little bit unleashed now.
Yeah. I love that. And, in that regard, we're very similar. I mean, nobody would be wanting me to run the internal day-to-day. I mean, the reality is I do at the minute. You're probably a year ahead with your MD there. But I think playing to your strengths and thinking about what actually motivates and where do I actually want to spend my time. There's plenty of people that can't do what you do fucking brilliantly.
And the thing is, it just, like I say, it frees me up to do this stuff. Other people who can do the other side of the job much better. They're unleashed. I think at first it was a little bit like he was checking in, going, are you happy with me making these decisions? Feel free.
Yeah, crack on.
If it's all going to tits, tell me.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you get on with that kind of stuff. It's weird because you hear the phrase that everybody says that you founders can't let go. And I never had that problem because I just have a very clear view of what I want this to grow into. And sometimes you're not the best person to take it to the next stage. You'll still be part of it.
Yeah.
But you're not the right person to really make it go in that direction.
But I think there is a component of the trust aspect. It sounds like you've done a solid process, getting your MD in, and he's all over it. And I think that at that point, you think, okay, I absolutely can. I mean, from a personal perspective, I cannot wait to delegate more.
You will hate it at the same time.
I undoubtedly will absolutely hate it for a brief period, and then I do not want to fucking hear about it. And that's the bit that I am desperate to get to. But we went through the same challenges, but different. And it's the nature of businesses that are growing and founders that are more than little control freaks. So brilliant. So in closing, just tell us a little bit about this latest book that you're writing. Please fire away and give it a bit of a plug.
So the first book was called The Chief Data Officer's Playbook. It's been called the Bible for Chief Data Officers, which is a very nice tagline for it. But it's very much the what to do.
Yep.
So the different aspects of the role and what to do with them. And the only criticism I've ever heard logged about it is that it needs more detail, which is brilliant. You can only put so much detail in a 70,000 page work. So we're creating the companion guide to the playbook, which is the how to do it.
Nice.
So that's what to do. Now we're writing the how to do with all the detail, literally down to these are the ways you run some of these things. These are the questions you need to ask. This is the direction you need to go in. It's a lot of detail, which is not my normal forte, but it feels like it's needed.
And when is this one getting published?
Due before the end of the year. So I'm optimistically hoping for September, but keep your fingers crossed for me.
But we definitely know it's going to be out before Christmas.
It's definitely going to be out before. I haven't got an attention span long enough to write any longer.
Good to be honest about that. So, Caroline, where can our listeners track you down?
The best thing you can do is to either
buy a copy of the book.
Well, that's always a nice way of doing it.
That's a great shout, mate. It's a great
on Amazon, on all good bookshops. The website, Carruthers and Jackson, pretty straightforward, carruthersandjackson.com, or LinkedIn. I think it's got a lovely title of some cheerleaders wearing pom-poms and outside the back with data written across them on my picture profile. So Caroline Carruthers on LinkedIn's best way.
Awesome. What I'm hearing from that is keep your eyes peeled for the cheerleaders.
I think pom-poms is the way to go if you don't want a fairy godmother.
Okay, all right. Well, we can work on the wide... I mean, I'm concerned about the thought of me in a cheerleader outfit or a fairy godmother. I'm not sure which is more disconcerting, but anyway, we will make it work. Caroline, thank you so much for joining us today. As ever, mate, could sit and talk for hours, but really, really appreciate you coming on.
Lovely talking to you, Rach.
Brill, thank you.
Before you go, if you like what you're listening to on the Exiteers podcast, like, review, and subscribe. Is that right? Okay, perfect. Cheers.